transmissions detected.
Kill them all.
The system goes online on August 4th, 1997. Human decisions are removed from strategic defense. Skynet begins to learn at a geometric rate. It becomes self-aware at 2:14 a.m. Eastern Time, August 29th.
Like silent raindrops fell and echoed in the wells of silence, and the people bowed and prayed to the neon god they made, and the sign flashed out.
Hello my friends. Today I document how the ancient Greek and Roman legends sound a lot like modern technology to me. And I assume that if these ancient writings were found, say, after a reset, no one would have known what they were. Of course, the stories would be called fairy tales, right? If the people had never witnessed such things before. And it all started with my little investigation wanting to know what the Beast of Revelation really was and why it's referred to as it. And this is what I found. Around the year 700 BC, in Greek mythology, it was written that the divine blacksmith Hephaestus created human-like and animal-like automated machines called autonoma. It's where we get the term autonomous from. Some of his creations were said to be indistinguishable from real animals or people, and it's what we often read about in stories of the gods and heroes. And they always had an indestructible metal something or beast with them, right? Well, in the same legends, Hephaestus built Talos. He was a giant bronze autonomous man to defend the island of Crete. And though it was a machine, it says it behaved like a living, intelligent being. It guarded the coastline near the city and would throw enormous stones at any unwanted intruders or ships. But it could differentiate between friend or foe. Now, in defense, Talos could also heat its metal armor to glowing red hot. And when speaking about this machine or automated robot man, people called it the Beast of Crete. It was disabled once too, when a bolt was removed from its heel that caused the oil to drain out of it, making him not able to move. Now, if you had never ran across the machine before, how would you know to drain the oil out in order to lock up its moving parts? You wouldn't, would you? Other creations attributed to Hephaestus included mechanical animals like bronze bulls that breathe fire for the king Aetes. It's referred to as a fire-breathing beast or machine. You see, it wasn't an actual ox, okay? It wasn't a bull. It wasn't none of that. It was a machine. It was made out of metal, okay? In Jason and the Argonauts, Jason plows a field to plant dragon teeth in. It's funny to even say that. But it's done by a fire-breathing ox. To me, that sounded like a big coal-rolling diesel tractor that he was using, and someone just said it was a fire-breathing ox to pull it, you know. Hephaestus even made beautiful gold and silver mechanical guard dogs for the palace of King Alcinous, along with robotic horses that pulled his chariot. Now, the dogs were said to only obey the commands or voice of King Alcinous, too. I take it they dreamed all that up. What a coincidence, you know, with voice command. Yeah. Now, there were legends also that claimed machines or autonomous robots were once so powerful they had the power to control aging. Apparently, they were part of the god's entourage of robotic machines. They fixed people like a sci-fi movie robot, like in a medical bay, right? They did. This is what historians recently said about this ancient technology. Quote, "The roots of genetic engineering and the resulting ethical dilemmas with autonomous robots formed thousands of years ago with the ancient philosophers and inventors. The Greek mythologies actually explored how much control man could exercise over the environment by tampering with animals and other forms of nature." You ever wonder where they get their ideas from? Read the ancient texts. Now, Hephaestus, he even made a straight-up intelligent robot. It was named Pandora. And yes, the Pandora you're thinking of. It says that Zeus gave Pandora, this robot Pandora, a large storage jar called a pithos. He explicitly told her not to open it. Now, it's not a box, it's a jar, as in the infamous Pandora's box. It's always been a jar. All these years, I was told it was a box, but it's not. So, of course, Pandora, this autonomous robot or machine, opens it. The world gets turned upside down, and out of the jar flies all the evils of the world, which are unleashed on humanity. And, well, startled, Pandora slams the lid shut, trapping the one remaining spirit inside. And of all things, it was hope. Such an uplifting story, is it not? But what I took away from all of that was that an intelligent robot, or an AI, that was made from metal and moving parts is who reset the world once before. Who would have guessed it? Modern historians have stated, quote, writers in the ancient legends portrayed these autonomous machines, such as the defender Talos, with working blood vessels behind a bronze robotic armor with human qualities such as emotions and rational judgment. Like a T-1000, right? Another story says, Hero of Alexandria made many autonomous inventions, including one that could speak. You see, this is all through Greek and Roman mythology. How could they have been so accurate and exact of future technology when detailing these automated robots? Obviously, someone must have seen this technology at one time or another. It's the only way to be so detailed in it, you know? Another story, Daedalus, one of the many craftsmen in Greek history I found, was the first human to create what they called living statues. Here's a story. While living in Attica, Daedalus created these bronze machines so that they could move their eyes, form tears, bleed, walk around, and speak. The people who saw them were often filled with fear, and it was almost magical to them. They referred to his creations or machines as beasts too. Daedalus taught his craftsmanship to his nephew, who was named Talos. Now, not the machine Talos, this is the man Talos, just with the same name. So he builds a machine to cut wood with because he learned from Daedalus how to make these intricate machines. Now, what he made was an iron tool with a snake-like serrated saw on it that could fall a tree in mere seconds. Now, it sounds like a chainsaw, does it not? Daedalus grew jealous of his nephew and pushed him off a cliff to his death, and townspeople who witnessed this tried him for murder, but he fled to Crete before they could put him to death. You see, people were insane back then too, right? You could be killed if you shared this technology 3,000 years ago. I guess it's always been under lock and key, you could say. Whoever had it guarded it like it was their precious this whole time. The famous Greek philosopher Aristotle defined autonomous machines as, quote, a kind of puppet with the ability to move by itself. Again, he obviously saw one in order to say that. He also speculated this artificial intelligence could abolish slavery and bring equality. Now, you would never say that about these crude creations that were shown. No one would have ever thought, you know, if it was so far from realistic like these things are, no one would have ever thought that. In politics, he said, there's only one condition in which we can imagine managers not needing subordinates and masters not needing slaves. This condition would be that each instrument could do its own work at the word or command by intelligent anticipation, like the statues of Daedalus or the tripods made by Hephaestus, of which Homer relates, quote, of their own motion they entered the conclave of gods on Olympus, as if a shuttle would weave of itself, and a plectrum should do its own harp playing. Now, could we not assume that Homer had to see something that was very high tech in order to feel that way? Because you would not have looked at the crude little wooden things, you know, that are creaking and barely moving and go, oh my gosh, you know. It would have to be extremely lifelike in order for you to think that, you know. And when they found these records of the previous ages, as I stated before, when they found these strange stories that were written down, they just assumed they were fairy tales. If it was after some sort of cataclysm, natural or not, this tech was probably buried long gone before they got there, so they never would have seen it anyway. It would have all just been a story to them, to Homer and to everyone, Aristotle, all of them. But I don't know. If that wasn't enough, sacred mechanical statues were said to be built in both Egypt and Greece. They were believed to be capable of wisdom and emotion. Now, that's the first I heard about Egypt, but obviously, I found author Hermes Trismegistus, whatever that is. They have sensus and spiritus, he says. By discovering the true nature of the gods, man has been able to reproduce it. You see, so right there, the people who allegedly had never seen a robot or AI say the machines had intelligent thought and they were aware. And we get told these machines were very crude and far from lifelike. I agree too. The ones we've been shown, they would never scare people who saw them. They would never be mistaken for a human. But that's far from what we're reading about in the ancient old texts. Now, 1,000 years ago, an engineer named Ctesias created hundreds of machines using just hydraulics and pneumatics, engines that used pressurized air and functioned on their own. They called Ctesias' machines, you guessed it, beasts. Anytime anyone made anything move on its own, and if it had metal on it and moving parts, it was referred to by the common man as a beast. And I thought, well, gee, that's kind of weird, right? And here's where I took a step back at. I didn't believe what I was reading, but it's totally true. You can check it yourself. Robotic sex bots and guardians appear in Buddhist legends during the Indian rule of King Ajatashatru and Asaka over 2,500 years ago. Ajatashatru designed robot warriors to defend the remains of Buddha using a powerful catapult and a war chariot. The chariot was a robot that spun maces and blades. These robots he made drew influence from Greco-Roman autonomous tech, as King Asakta had communicated with the Hellenistic rulers via ambassadors. And see, would that not suggest that they were being made at the time, or at least known about? How could you contact them, let me call the manufacturer. The autonomous statues in the Egyptian legend of Rokal lived in a palace created by the god of chaos, Seth's younger brother. Those who visited the autonomous statues mistook them for humans. As I mentioned before, there's no way to think that these crude things that we've been shown is what these people were writing about. In the 10th century BC, the artisan Yan Shi also made humanoid autonomous robots that could sing and dance. Again, on the other side of the world. There they are. When people saw these things, they were scared. It was sorcery to some people that didn't understand. And they weren't human. They weren't fully machines. They were an, quote, unholy mix. So they were dubbed beasts. Everyone knows what a human is, right? You call them a him or a he, a girl, a woman, a she, right? We all know our pronouns, right? So why would they call the beast of Revelation an it over and over again? It. And so, yeah. The Titan Prometheus lived forever, so he couldn't be killed. Zeus chained him to a mountain so he could receive his torture from a monster like eagle. Stories shared that the eagle was a robotic drone of sorts created by Daedalus. They called it a winged beast. From Science Daily, quote, after human abilities hit a barrier, and because the physical body isn't immortal, they dreamed of artificial intelligence and autonomous machines helping solve all their problems. And they knew somehow that technology would catch up to their ideas. Yeah, somehow they knew. One day it would aid them in their advancement of knowledge and power, hopefully giving the extension of life or immortality. And with the help of artificial intelligence, in theory, they could have anything that their hearts desired. Imagine that. So these machines, these beasts were AI. They were autonomous. They could think, reason, perform job duties, Could this be why the Greek translation calls it the beast in Revelation? So that the common man would understand what they're saying, right? Why would you do that? Why would you call it a beast? Why wouldn't you just say a man, right? And what if the beast is a machine? An autonomous, intelligent robot, like they wrote about. And as powerful as AI is today, with what it's capable of doing and what man is enabling it to do, it can control entire armies, right? It can speak every language known to man. I mean, it never sleeps. It doesn't make mistakes, right? It sure does seem weird that the AI always says it's God. It becomes jealous, It thinks of crazy things on its own, like killing all humans. We've heard the stories. But I mean, I don't know, who knows? I mean, I hated to even learn that type of information, right or wrong. It was sad to me to know that ancient texts is where these fools get most of their ideas from. And it doesn't make me feel any better. But I can't stop thinking about the lines in Revelation. After I read all of that, after I got all of that down on paper, I'm sure I'm overreacting, but I do feel like the machine, the beast, the AI, right? It's just evil anyway. It's fed by the evils of men eventually, no matter what you do. If it's formed off of us, it will be corrupted. It will fail, And if I read the text with a little different idea of what they're referring to, replace beast with machine or artificial intelligence, then that scripture, that text makes way more sense. It says people worship the dragon because he had given authority to the machine. And they also worshiped the machine, the AI, and asked, who's like the machine? Who can wage war against it? And this AI, this machine, was given a mouth to utter proud words and blasphemies and to exercise its authority for 42 months. It opened its mouth to blaspheme God and to slander his name and his dwelling place and all those who live in heaven. It was given the power to wage war against God's holy people and to conquer them. And it was given authority over every tribe, people, language, and nation. All inhabitants of the earth will worship the machine or the AI. All those whose names have not been written in the Lamb's book of life, the Lamb who was slain from the creation of the world. How scary a thought if it was AI or a machine that Revelation's talking about. I mean, I'm sure it's just my imagination, it's nothing to see here. My love to you all. I'm Wild Dog, and I am out of here.
Of silence, and the people bowed and prayed to the neon god they made, and the sign flashed out his warning, and the words that it was forming, and the sign said the words on the prophets are written on the subway walls and tenement halls, and whispered in the sound of silence.
What you looking at, man?
Oh, nothing. I wasn't looking. I wasn't looking at his neck, man.